Hey, welcome to FailCraft. I'm Hammy, hope you're well and good, and it's Tuesday, it's Arena Tuesday. We do what we always do. You vote for your hero of choice on Twitter from a 3-pick. We then pick the deck live on stream, twitch.tv/FailCraft Casts. Today on Twitter, you have gone for...
I won't let you down.
Oh, he's not going to let us down, and we win. So our mode, as people in chat on Twitch, or myself in the event of a tie, vote, pick the cards, we then play the deck for a few and see how we go. We always obey 3 rules, as people take a look at cards to start with. Rule number 1. We always review our deck often. We pick 3 points and we review the deck and try and see some other things. The reason for that is so we can keep track of how our deck is building. Rule number 2, when we review the deck, we have a look at none other than the mana curve in the middle there and the spells against minions count. Mana curve gives you a rough idea of when your deck is going to go off. Do you have loads of early game stuff? Do you need to win then? Mid game is that you're winning then. Late game, are you controlling? Do you need to perhaps stay alive? Pick cards that keep you alive till later in the game. Mana curve can tell you a bit about that. Spells against minions gives you the option of seeing if you've got a spell heavy or minion heavy style. In Arena, mostly going to be minion heavy, but just gives you an indication as to the play style of your deck also. And then rule number 3. And rule number 3, you jump in there and you have a look at a card by card by card by card pick through of every single card in your deck. What do you play on turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and similar? And that way you can know, if you sum all of those things together, how your deck is building. By reviewing it often, you can then try and get an idea of cards you might want to pick, where your deck is going to be playing, and most importantly, does it flow? Do you have something strong that you can throw out every turn? A big welcome to PG and the others of you joining. Righty, so we have, first up, pint-sized summoner, a lightwell, or an abomination. The pint-sized summoner. First minion every turn, 1 less. Good for getting lots of minions down early. Helps out a little bit with a little bit of ramping. Lightwell, restoring health, pretty good. Hard to remove in Arena, and healing stuff is always great. Goes very well with the Northshire Cleric if we can get that. Abomination used to be splendid until the bigger tanks at the table. Lightwell gets the nod. Lightwell it is. Next, a Razor Fen Hunter, a Mech Yeti, or a War Golem. Hunter is 2 for 1, good early drop, gives you 2 minions, always good to have 2 for 1s, good trading minion there. Helps you get table control. Mech is solid, the death rattle of each player having a spare part can be wonderful. So it can be either of those, pretty much. It can be great, it can be terrible. Just depends on what that spare part is for your opponent, what it is for you. War Golem is the definition of a solid minion. In Arena we often talk about solid minions and say if its mana cost equals its attack equals its health, it's pretty much going to be a solid card. You can throw it down and it will do something on that turn, providing it doesn't have a negative, a detrimental piece of card text that actually holds you back. So if in doubt, nothing else better, a solid minion is never normally too bad a pick in Arena. So, Razorfen Hunter, Mechanical Yeti, or the War Golem. War Golem it is. Next, Inner Fire, Shadow Word Pain, or Storm Pike Commando. Inner Fire, minions attack equal to health. You can wombo combo. If you can stack up some big health minions, then you can just instantly create a beastie monster that will do a lot of damage. Shadow Word Pain, good removal. Minion with 3 or less. Generally quite mana efficient, particularly good against things with bubbles, things like the Annoyatron, anything low health and quite removable. Finally, Stormpike Commando, okay, battle cry, but its stats are a little bit high for its slightly low health, so entirely up to you on that front. Which of those do you be fancying? It's going to be a Stormpike Commando apparently. Next, Holy Smite, a Zombie Chow or a Jungle Panther. Smite deal 2. Solid, does a job, spell damage makes it better, nothing wrong with it. Chow, minion trading in the early game, actually not too bad in a priest if you can combo it with an Organized Soul Priest so it does 5 damage rather than heals 5 to your opponent. Pretty good. Panther, throw it down, pops out of stealth, does some damage, probably then dies with the low health pool. Chow gets the nod. Next, a Shattered Sun Cleric, a Frost Wolf Warlord, and a Shrinkmeister. Shattered Sun Cleric, 3/3/2. It's a solid minion with a nice buff. Good for early game pressure. Frostwolf Warlord gains strength in the mid game, can be a really chunky minion if you've got a lot of small minions on the battlefield in the first 4 turns. Shrinkmeister, good in priests, better if you can combo it with something like a Cabal, Cabal Shadow Priest, it's an Organized Soul Priest, isn't it? Cabal Shadow Priest, the one that mind controls anything. Takes control of a minion with X, with 2 or less attack, I believe it is. Shrinkmeister gets the nod. I'll just say that you can pick nice or you can pick nasty. Our rule is that whatever you vote for goes in, so you can have great cards or dodgy cards. It's a fun arena. We're playing for fun at the end of the day. And as much as we try and keep normal arena principles to try and help people who are learning arena, we will pick for fun a lot as well. Tauren Warrior, Dalaran Mage and Silverback Patriarch. Tauren Warrior, a solid enough tank that becomes a 5/2 when enraged or when damaged. Dalaran Mage, okay for the spell damage, not a great means that's what otherwise. The Silverback Patriarch is an average tank, but that is what you've gone for. Oasis, Snapjaw. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Snapjaw. Is that how we know it? Another Inner Fire, an Ancient Brewmaster. And a snoring dog in the background, my apologies. Oasis Snapjaw, 4/2/7. Solid enough. It really benefits from Inner Fire, but we can't pick both. You can make that a 2/7 into a 7/7 for just 1 mana. That's pretty efficient. Inner Fire we've covered. Brewmaster good if you've got things with battle cries or minions that you'd like to heal. And a big welcome to Raj. There we go. Brewmaster gets it. Next we've got a Wolf Rider, Spiteful Smith, and an Archmage. There was a voting quorum in the chat that has since been tweaked, which is good. Wolf Rider charges in, damages, dies. Unless you can put it up behind a tank, it might live a little bit longer. Spiteful Smith, 5 attack, 5 mana. The 4/6 is not bad. We are a priest, we don't have weapons. But it's a solid minion in itself. Stats wise, it kind of balances out, makes good trades with that big health pool, so not a bad choice. And the Archmage is very similar. We can benefit from the spell damage effect. The attack is not hugely more, but for 1 more mana you get 1 more health. It's a big body on the table, again, that can make some trades. Sunfury Protector, Defender of Argus can make either the Spiteful Smith or the Archmage a big wall if we can draw into those. So Wolf Rider, Smith or Archmage? You have the power to make a choice. Wolf is your choice. Next we've got a Velen's Chosen, a Shield Bearer, or a Silvermoon Guardian. The Guardian first. This is a solid minion from our definition, because you have the Divine Shield, which is a more than good enough effect for that additional 1 mana. That will make some trades before it dies. Not bad if you don't have a 4 pick. Shield Bearer is a good early game wall. Nothing wrong with picking it, but it's, unless, you know, Inner Fire is a good combo, you can have a 4/4 for 2 mana if you have an Inner Fire on a Shield Bearer. Velen's Chosen is a ridiculously strong buff. Minion 2/4, spell damage +1, played in pretty much all Priest ladder decks. It is never bad to throw anything on. I'm going to jump on in. There's a draw in the chat. I'm going to jump on in and take my executive decision. If the chat is divided, then we get a streamer's choice. And without that, I'm going to go for Velen's Chosen because it's awesome. And we've got a really strong 3-pick. Do you know what? Even if you're troll picking, I'm happy with any of those cards. Azure Drake sings, dances, acts, spell damage, battle cries. Of drawing a card, 4 attack, 4 health. Very strong all round. Benefits us too. Kodo removes a minion. It's a good value trade. You're going to get not only a 3/5 minion on the table, but you also get to stamp away one of your opponent's minions if you play it at the right time. So mana wise, that really works out as good. And then Resurrect is hilarious. Summon a random friendly minion that died this game. Now obviously you get better value from this if you've only had a big minion die. Let's say for example a War Golem has died and for some reason that's the first minion that's died this game. If I then throw in a Resurrect, I get War Golem on the table for 2 mana. Ragnarok goes for Azure. There are also votes for Resurrects. Well, only because the quorum, the vote the other way has gone earlier. I'm going to go with the Drake, but I'm not always going to go with those. Speedybait Bodyguard, Circle of Healing, or Novice Engineer. The Speedybait Bodyguard is an average to below average tank, given that the health is a little bit lower than the other stats. Circle of Healing, good for Priest, if we can draw into a Northshire Cleric. That of course gives us card draw for every minion, including our opponents, that's healed with that card. And then Novice Engineer, nothing wrong with it, throw it down, draw a card, then see what happens after. So, Novice, Circle, Booty Bay. What do you fancy? Hey, double vote for Circle. Next we've got a Temple Enforcer, Mind Blast, or Shadow Word Death. Temple Enforcer, 666, number of the beast with a minion of +3 health. It's the definition of a really solid minion. Mind Blast, 5 damage to enemy hero for 2 mana. This is a good card. really. Not so bad in Arena as well. It's really mana efficient for the damage it does. Of course, only enemy hero. With Villain, it's ridiculous. Then Shadow of Death, a minion with an attack of 5 or more, decent control. So again, 3 very solid picks. What I'm just going to do is jump in and do our review. We're at 12 cards, that's a good review point. And then we have mana curve of a bit of everything. We don't really know how our deck is. We've got no early game or mid game focus at the moment. We then take a look at our sort of rule number 3 of spells against minions and turn by turn playthrough. Circle of Healing, Villains Chosen, 2 spells against 9 minions. Turn by turn analysis is Chow, play when we see, but ideally we play Chow in the early game. Lightwell we can pretty much play when we see. Shrinkmeister can hold it, but we don't really have anything to comment with it, so we can pretty much play when we see as well. And then talk about Patriarch, play when we see. Wolfrider, play when we see. All of the other minions, bar perhaps the Brewmaster, play when we see him and push forward. So we know that we've got a core of a deck. We don't really have any key theme coming together here just yet. Let's see how it goes. Going back in, we have a vote for Mind Blast and a vote for Shadow of Death. I'm going to go with the Temple Enforcer. Everyone votes, I go with something else. Going to fill in a little hole there. But both of those, any of those, I think could have been a very solid choice. And we've got an interesting 3-pick here as well. None of these are necessarily bad, it's just whether we think that they go with our deck theme. Upgraded Repairbot, Gadgetzan, Auctioneer, or Questing Adventurer. Give a friendly mech plus 4 health. Well, 555, that's a solid minion in itself. And then with mechs, it's even stronger. Do we have mechs? No, we do not. A War Golem is a golem. It's not a mech, even though I think it looks like one sometimes. So if we grab mechs, that becomes even better. Otherwise, it's just a 555. Gadgetzan, Auctioneer, good if you have cheap spells. We have a couple of spells, but none of them massively cheap, because that's had its mana cost increased a bit higher up. And then Questing Adventurer. Whenever you play a card, gain 1/1. Not so bad if you drop it in the early game and can drop some small cards, cheap cards on top of it. However, we're lacking cheap cards for the Adventurer, we're lacking cheap spells for the Auctioneer, and the upgraded Repairbot is not a bad minion, but the fact is that we don't really have any mechs for the Battle Cry to be really effective. So it's the best of a rough pick there, I think, but not necessarily rough in itself, just because we haven't picked the cards before that actually go with it very well. So you have the power to make your choice decision. What's it going to be from those? Repairbot, Auctioneer, Adventurer. What would be best for you? Okay, to keep things moving, I'm going to jump on in. I'm going to go with the Repairbot. Next, Violet Teacher, Emperor Cobra, or a Shadow Madness. So the Teacher, good with spells. We don't have loads of spells right now, but it's a solid minion body in itself, 3 attack, 5 health. Cobra good for trades, but generally speaking, it'll get targeted and wiped off the table before you can use it to target a big minion to make it mana effective. Otherwise, Shadow Madness. Again, control an enemy minion with 3 or less until the end of the turn. You can use that to trade against minions and do all kinds of funky stuff. Used nicely in... The dog is indeed snoring like a beast, for those of you on stream wondering about the noise. So, Shadow Madness, Shrinkmeister Synergy makes a perfect amount of sense there. Shadow Madness we're going for. Next, an Oasis Snapjaw, another little bit of a rough pick. Stone Skin Gargoyle, or a Harvest Golem. Snapjaw we've covered, not bad tank. Gargoyle good, but it's one of those cards that benefits from Hobgoblin, which buffs any 1 attack minion by +2/+2. If you credit from 1/4 to 3/6 and it always re-heals its health, it can just be used to sponge aggro like no one's business. And then the Harvest Golem, which is great for trades. Great for trades indeed. It's a mech as well, which can benefit from things. The Gargoyle is not so bad. It can make some trades. If we do play aggro and throw it down in the early game, it can help us maybe remove some little minions and totems and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of awkward, particularly if you can buff it. We do not have some of the beneficial priest buffs, Shadow Word, Power Word Shield, Inner Fire, and I cannot remember the other one, the Wombo Combo buff. as well. So, which of them? 14 out of 30. Let's keep it moving. Get in a couple of games. Old Mutant Ninja Turtle, Stone Skin Gargoyle. Between them two is Old Mutant Ninja Turtle. Stone Skin or those are the chat split votes. I'm going to go for the Snapjaw on this occasion. And the reason for that is it's a nice little big-bodied kind of tough to kill minion, which is always nice. Radiator buffs all other minions by 1 attack. Sorry, I've just made it Imber. Quite easy to die if it doesn't get protected behind a tank. We've got 1 Shrinkmeister, would you like 2? And the Stormwind Knights, good against aggro, not so good against other things unless you can buff up the health a little bit. 2 attack, 5 health and charge is not going to do... Oh, beg pardon me. Is not going to do huge amounts of face damage, but what it can of course do is charge into those aggro minions and cause a bit of trouble. So yeah, a bit of another rough 3 pick. Let's get to 20 cards, do another deck review, and then speed on through to our conclusion, which will be good. I'm looking forward to it. So, betwixt the 3 to keep the chat moving. Shrinkmeister it is. Next we have a Shadow Word Pain, Twilight Whelp, and a Northshire Cleric. And hey, Mr. Pokemon. And all of those joining us live, as always. We have Shadow Word Pain, Whelp, and Cleric. Pain we've already covered, good removal, do you want it? Whelp, if you're holding a dragon game 2, well, we don't have any dragons. Oh, we got the Azure Drake, sorry, that's a dragon. We got 1 dragon, but not enough to reliably trigger that into a 2-3 on turn 1. And the last one, of course, Northshire Cleric. Great in Priest Kit. Heal a minion, draw a card. Very, very nice indeed. So, Shadow of Pain, Twilight Whelp, or Northshire Cleric. Big shout out to Mr. Pokemon who's completed an all gold paladin. Amazing work. I'm loving the look of your cards there. Very, very awesome indeed. Vote for Pain. Looks like Pain is getting the nods. Next, Inner Fire. Divine Spirit, that's the card I couldn't remember the name of. So Inner Fire we've already covered. Divine Spirit and Inner Fire is the wombo combo. You double a minion's health. So let's say, for example, we have our Oasis Snapjaw. If you double its health, it has 14 health. If you then play an Inner Fire, make a minion stack equal to its health, we then have a 14-14 minion. So that's the Divine Spirit Inner Fire combo, or wombo combo in Priest. Now the challenge with that is we have neither of those cards. So if we pick one of those cards, we kind of need the other. Although there's nothing wrong with either in and of itself. An Inner Fire, for example, could make Oasis Snapjaw 7-7 as it stands, which is not bad at all. And then the Cult Master is the 3 pick. Good if you can throw it down and sacrifice lots of minions in one go, because then you can get some great card draw, but you generally want to trade your minions away. You know, the best players, you have lots of small token minions on the table, you sacrifice them, maybe get your opponent's minions under control, and then you get the card draw and the Cult Master. If the Cult Master survives for more than 1 turn, then it's most awesome. Cult Master vote, Divine Spirit vote. I'm going to go for the Cult Master at the split vote because I like the card draw. Blackwing Technician, Force Tank Max, and a Dark Cultist. Blackwing Tech, similar with the dragons, we're going to have a little bit... Oh, just too late, otherwise we would have gone with Divine Spirit. My bad. I jumped in a little bit too early. We had late votes for Divine Spirit coming in, my bad. Blackwing Tech, if you're holding a dragon, gain 1/1, only if we have dragons to trigger it, otherwise it's not a bad 3-drop, but it's not the greatest either. Force Tank Max, not a bad game finisher. And then the Dark Cultist, giving a random friendly minion +3, 3 attack, 4 health, very strong 3-drop. The Cultist gets your vote. Very nicely done indeed. Next we've got a Shadow Madness, Violet Teacher, or a Murloc Tidecaller. Murlocs, you need to open the Murloc door and pick a whole bunch of Murlocs, otherwise a Murloc on its own is probably not much use. It's a synergy, it's a tribe, as it would be called in physical paper card games. Violet Teacher we've already covered. Good if we have the spells, but we don't really. Shadow Madness we've got 1, do you want 2? Could be quite comedy. What we should probably do, Murgil. I love just people making a Murloc. Do I have a command that's Murloc? Ah, we do! Exclamation mark Murloc. Shadow Madness gets the vote. Next, Nightblade, a reckless rocketeer, science. Nightblade, balanced minion with 3 damage to face, not bad for trades. Reckless rocketeer, charge in, kind of a Leroy light, 5 attack, 2 health. Doesn't have the downside, of course, of spawning them whelps. Leroy is 6 attack, 2 health, but spawns the whelps, of course. So not a bad finisher. Silencing stuff is always handy. Right, we're at 20 cards, so let's do our second deck review. Spells against mana count, we're looking at sort of a early to mid-game mana curve, which is interesting. Looks as though that we're broadly a mid-game deck at this point, unless we pick a bunch of finishes and try and control. Spells against minions, I see 1, 2. Spells, 3 spells, let's make that now. It's only 3 spells, but 2 Shadow Madness, 4, 5. So 5 spells, 20 minions. We're still going to be throwing down minions every single turn as people vote for Rocketeer. I'll give you the next choice. Keep things moving. Light Spawn or Thought Steal, a fun 3-pick there as well. So as we go through our final sort of rule that we go through for arenas, 10x10 playthrough. Chow we play when we see it, ideally early game. Pain we use to control. Lightwell we can use to heal. 2 Shrink Meisters, we can throw those down. If we can combo them with Shadow Madness, great. We've got a really nice double combo there, because we can then shrink things down to have -2 attack, and if it goes beyond a certain level we can gain control of a minion of 3 less attack till the end of turn. So we could potentially steal up to a 5 attack minion if we play Shrink Meister and Shadow Madness. So we've got 6 mana, we can steal a 5 attack minion and stop doing mega trades. Cultist play when we see, Chosen play when we see, ideally on big early game minions to be awkward. Play when we see, charge when we see, combo if we can, otherwise make good trades. Play when we see unless we've got something we want to pick up. Cult Master for play when we see, but probably when we've got minions on the table to sacrifice or trade. Drake just play. Or we can hold Rocketeer as a charge. So we have reasonable. With our last 9 cards, we need to look to the early game for more control. If people rush us, we're in trouble. Maybe some more big chunky minions or control spells. In the mid game or the late game, I think we need to look at the cards and make a decision, as Thoughtstein has chosen, as to whether we actually want to finish in the mid game and therefore pick more big mid game cards, or do we want to finish in the late game and therefore pick more late game cards, but then more control in the early to mid game. Early game minions and similar. So we can still make a decision. We can finish this in the mid game and pick a bunch of mid game cards and early game control, or everyone get in here. I love that vote. Look at that. Gone for the solid choice. I didn't even need to review these 3. Abomo we've reviewed. Swordsmith good if you can put it behind a tank. Patron, whenever it survives damage, summon another Grim Patron. That is strong. It is strong in a very popular ladder deck at the moment. I can't even spell Thought Steal as we tee up these next cards. So a reasonable 3-pick there as well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what we can do with Grim Patron if we can make some trades that could very quickly win us the game on its own. Trog, good 3 attack 5 health, solid minion, gets more attack whenever spells are cast, can become real nasty real fast. A good solid 4-pick. Thought Steal, we've got 1 do you want 2. It could be very comedy in terms of stealing opponents' cards, and always gives you, hopefully, in constructed, it always gives you something useful most of the time, unless it's class specific. And then War Golem, we've already got 1. Do you want 2? There's a War Golem at the bottom of the 9th there to try and finish things off. Double vote for War Golem. Looking for big and chunky finishes, which are never bad in Arena. Next we've got another Velen's Chosen. We've got 1 do you want 2. A Dal Aran Mage, which we've already covered, and then a Black Wing Tech, which we've already covered as well. Which of those 3 would you like? As I take a little sip. All covered. Do we want to finish mid? Do we want to finish late game? Do we want more minions to trade and control with? Tech, Dalaran, votes flying all over the place. Looks as though Mr. Pokemon is going to be jumping in with the deciding vote. Ooh, let's split 3 ways, in which case I'm going to go for another Velen's Chosen because that card is awkward. Next we've got a Power Word Shield, a Wisp, or a Frostwolf Warlord. We've covered the Warlord, Shield, 2 health and draw a card, great mana value. Wisp, how can I put this? It is one of the heroes or heroines of this stream, depending on what you consider a Wisp to be. Not bad, not good, it's alright. We're feeling we're going to have a disappointed Wisp minority. Shield gets the vote. I'm going to pick Shield and move on before the Wisp Patrol come out. Well, Twilight Whelp, a Stone Skin Gargoyle. What a micro machine. So we've covered the Whelp, we've covered the Gargoyle, the micro machine. Only good if you can put it up behind a tank. And we don't particularly have any tanks at this point in time. Micro machines can be nasty if you have table control and they get out of control. We can buff its health. Velen's Chosen on a micro machine is pretty ugly in anyone's language if you can play those two in. Good point from Mr. Pokeball, micro machine plus shield. Okay, right, I take that back. We do have some health buffs, so it looks like micro machine is going to get that nod. Kind of talked myself out of it there. Storm Pike Commando, we have one, do you want two? Cult Master, we have one, do you want two? Mind Control is the only one we haven't covered. Tank Control of an enemy minion. In Arena, sometimes you're kicking around to the very late game. Mind Control could make a difference in a late game scenario if they've managed to draft some horrific legendary or something like that. So it's not awful, but Cult Master gives us more draw potential. Storm Pike will die, but will just give us a little bit more chip damage with that 2 zap, 2 battle cry in there. So Mind Control or Cult Master, we've only got 3 cards to go. Storm Pike says one, Mind Control says another. Lots of choices and decisions. That's going to be a split vote unless our CM rather than MC. Guessing that's an MC indeed. So next we've got a Shrinkmeister, an Iron Fur Grizzly. Oh, I'm not even typing in chat. Next, Shrinkmeister, Iron Fur Grizzly, or Salty. I love the fact that the Team Whisper are refreshed, so they're ready to have a look at Wisp and Slood. They're ready for the vote. Okay, right, we've got 2 Shrinkmeisters. Do you really want 3? Could be quite comedy. Iron Fur Grizzly, 3/3. Solid enough tank, and then Salty Dog is probably going to die. So between those 3, well, a dog, the Salty Dog, if you can buff its health and keep it alive, it suddenly becomes a very nasty mid-game. Everyone's gone for some Shrinkmeister. 3 Shrinkmeisters. We're definitely going to get that combo off at some point or another. Clock Giant, Sea Giant, Mountain Giant. It's a giant. I'm not going to even say what I was just about to say. It's a giant 3-pick. Clockwork Giant, 1 less for each card in your opponent's hand. People's hands do get a bit congested in Arena, so that could be okay. Sea Giant, 1 less for each other minion on the battlefield. So do you want your opponent to have a big hand, Clockwork Giant? Do you want yourself to have a big hand, Mountain Giant? Sea Giant, unreliable. Minions do stick to the table a bit in Arena, but you just can't tell. There's no way in our current deck that we can really force the table full of tokens or anything so that we could then take advantage of Sea Giant. So, between the giants, what do you fancy a giant? Sea Giant, Mountain Giant or Clockwork Giant? I love it that the vote, which is just like, yeah, pick a giant. Just giant. I'm not going to specify which giant. Just go for a giant. Okay. Sea Giant, Clock Giant, Mountain Giant, for those whose apps have crashed. There we go. Molten Giant, Giant, Sea Giant. Ooh, and welcome to Umbra. Sneaking in at the last for perhaps what would be the last card pick. Okay, it looks as though you've gone Sea Giant. Alright, that's your choice. Final deck review. Right, we need to try, we have Shrinkmeisters to kind of try and make trades in the early game. I think my main concern with this deck is we've done decent. We've got Dark Cultist, we've reinforced with Dark Cultist and some other stuff in the early game. We've certainly got a bunch of Shrinkmeisters. Let's look for a Shrinkmeister and Shadow Madness combo. We have enough, but we need to finish it in the mid to mid-late game. If we do not finish the game in the mid to mid-late game, if it really gets late, we've only got a Mind Control and we don't have huge amounts of other stuff to help us out. But we've got a core of a deck that will run. Most turns we've got some good stuff we can drop on a turn-by-turn basis. Let's see how things go. A big welcome to Umbra and Thrush joining us.
Anduin versus Brawl. For Doomhammer.
Righty, so let's go in. Game 1 we have Shaman, so we should have time to get in a couple of games before end of episode. Righty, Powered Shield, Thought Steal, Mind Control, Shrinkmeister. We've got some interesting cards there. Always nice to have a Thought Steal. Never bad if you've got nothing else to play, just to lob a Thought Steal out and see what comes home. Okay, so there's nothing for me to throw that down to. I can coin into a Thought Steal for comedy. I can Shrinkmeister next go. Remember, we've got 3 Shrinkmeisters, so there's nothing wrong with just throwing one down. Oh, we've got a totem on the table. A little bit infuriating. And goes a Lightwell. So I can throw down the Shrinkmeister. Lovely jubbly, but it's, remember, of course, it's only temporarily. So if I throw down a Lightwell, that sets me up quite nicely unless he actively goes to remove the Shrinkmeister, which he does not. Or I could simply Thought Steal, that's another option. Or I could just coin to start getting rid of these aggro-y type cards. Interesting. In fact, I do have another option that presents itself. I can throw that down. Oh, we've got a Grim Patron. Right, I'm going to save the coin for the Grim Patron because that's going to be, I believe the vernacular is sick. Oh, I just forgot that Lightwell only goes off at the start of my turn. I've sacrificed this for no reason. Never mind. I got the card draw. Grim Patron is going to be nuts. Nuts. Oh, interesting question. For those of you who are chatting CSGO in chat, what does the condition of a weapon actually mean? I've seen battle scarred, I've seen all of that kind of stuff. What does that actually mean? Is it just visual condition? Is that all it is? Oh, I've got an evil play here. I could coin into the Grim. I'm actually going to do... Oh no, this is pointless because I'm not going to be able to remove the Mana Tide. Oh dear, that was a mistake. That was a mistake, and I'm not going to be able to remove that next go either. So I'm going to tap at that. The real thing I want to do is remove that Mana Tide. Nothing wrong with having a 3DS. 3DSs are wonderful little consoles. Spellbreaker. Oof, that's painful. My Lightwell becomes worthless. The Mana Tide hits the table. Remember that we don't have any Organised Soul Priests, we don't have any Holy Novas. I'm actually in a bit of a bind here. And, ooh, but I'm not if I do this. Maybe like so. I hear you like sea giants. There you go, I've been educated that the condition on a CSGO weapon is just visual. I didn't think it was that. Battlecry in for 3, that's a full-on trade that our opponent can make here, so my Sea Giant is going to go down. I don't think my Grim Patron if the Fire Elemental is just going to take us. Okay, so what have we got? I can Thought Steal, I can coin into a... No, I can't even coin into a Shadow Madness. Ooh, this is looking a little bit dangerous. So if I'd Thought Stolen, I could have at least have removed that Mana Tide. But 3 cards have been drawn soon, and a Mana Tide taken on the table for that long, just for card advantage alone, is very, very problematic for us. Farsight, draw a card that costs 3 less. That could play something particularly evil. This is where we see some dragon or something at the table. An Unbound for Farsight, a free Unbound Elemental, and a Feral Spirit. This is rapidly getting out of our control. The table is becoming rapidly... we don't have the control to remove this. We've got... Oh, okay, we actually... Sorry, I'll take that back. This is where we can... punch some stuff away. The annoying thing is I can only get rid of those 2. Now this is completely useless because there's nothing I can buff it with. It's just going to sit there on the table. Sit there and cause us pain. Pain and a bit of suffering. Big celebration, guys, by the way. We've almost got our first 6,000 view video, which is quite exciting. It's a little Grim Patron Warrior video on YouTube. So a big thanks to Semplars, whose deck he very kindly gave us some help putting it together. and you can see his deck both on our YouTube and also on Hearthstone, so worth checking out. Meanwhile, this game is going south, downhill, down under, you name the southerly direction that this game is going in, but it's going bad. If I'd coined into that Grim Patron, may have had a chance at re-establishing table control. Now we're pretty much messed up. Up a creek without a paddle. In fact, there's nothing I can do to repair that game, so let's just move on to the next one as soon as we can. The problem there is that we don't have any area clearance, and against a shaman that's always going to be tough, because they can just throw stuff down, totem. If they get a feral spirit away like they did, you're just trying to catch up. So one thing to remember for future references, we didn't get a Holy Nova in our draw, we did not get a Organized Soul Priest in our draw either, so in terms of priest and area removal, we don't have loads. We've kind of got a Shadow Word Pain, and really relying on those Shadow Madnesses, which we tried to use, but we couldn't use quite as much as we would have liked. Okay, we've got a Rogue this time. Zombie Chow, not too bad early game. I'm going to throw back the Grim Patron. Only if we were going second and we had a coin, I'd keep the Grim Patron. That would be good. Righty. I don't mind throwing a Zombie Chow down early game, just an opening gambit. If they want to remove it, then they're not really healing, they're just healing themselves up. If they play any minions, then we can make trades. In Arena, they're more likely to throw minions down. Hey, look at that. If they're just going to randomly play a young Dragon Hawk, I will eat that up. Bang. Zombie Chow at its finest. Conceal. Minions stealth till next turn. Shrinkmeister. Oh, well, with the Conceal, I'm not actually going to be able to do loads. Oh, I don't really want to do that, because that's going to give me less attack this turn. Unless I attack first. Oh, zing. There we go. That would have been a funny error if I'd decided to zap my attack down before attacking. That would have been funny for you. For me, I would have cringed slightly. Abusive Sergeant with a Wind Fury. That's a nice play. That's gonna 10 damage. 10 damage. Righty then. That was very, very painful. Down goes a cultist. We can now start working some of these trades. Big welcome to Hyasri joining us. Hyasri, fresh back from Japan. If you want to know about ramen and noodles in Japan, then he is your man. Alrighty then, so trades coming in. Shrinkmeister's going down all over the shop. Flesh-eating Ghoul, whenever minions dies, gaining 1 attack is nasty. But I'm perfectly happy to do this. Clear the buff for Lens chosen. Let's turn 2-4 into a 4-8. Info after Hammy wins 10 games, he gets put in Gold Nova. I don't know what Gold Nova is. I guess Gold Nova is good. And that's probably never going to happen. So I know you need to play. You need to play 10 games. But what else does the 10 games in ranking take into account in CS:GO, for example? Hang on a second. We're like almost dead. I've just been sitting here chatting and suddenly we're almost dead. So I can either try and rush my opponent down. Let's do that. I'm not going to heal myself. Just going to go for it. So it says I need to win, so you know I've only won like 1 ranked game, courtesy of PG the other day, and me not sucking that game. So global bronze. So here's the thing, we're getting a little bit distracted from Arena, but that's cool. What else does it take into account? So say for example in League of Legends you need to just play 10 games and then it will from your wins and losses and how you play in those games give you a league. But in CSGO it says you need to win 10 games. So what else does it take into account when you've won those 10 games? Once you win 10 games as unranked, it sorts you into rank based on performance. O, KD, KDA type thing. Kill, death, assist. Right, okay, in that case I'm definitely going to be in the lowest thing ever. That's fine. Okay, we are not. We have all options. I can trade that. I think what I'm going to do is, rather than attack for 4, I'm going to set up a lethal instead. I've got an Assassin's Blade. My opponent really wants to kill that because that could actually hand in the game with the additional 5 health heal. Okay, right, so CSGO ranks you after 10 wins on KDA. Righty ho. Backstab. Ooh, no, 2 damage to an undamaged minion. This is a Blade Flurry. That's well played. Managed to grab a game. Nicely done. We can go for a pointless thought still. No, that's really going to help us loads. Nicely won. There we go. So to wrap up our stream for this evening, I've been out most of the day, so I'm going to have to wrap up a little bit early this evening. I do apologise for that. I know we also started late as well, so sorry about starting half an hour later than originally planned, but got to eat, been out pretty much most of the afternoon and similar. Need to kick back and chill a bit this evening. Let's do one final match. Can we go 2-1? That would be pretty good.
Versus Valir.
I'm loving the anecdotes about CSGO. The games are just horrific.
The light shall bring victory.
Okay, so we're playing a rogue again. I don't mind keeping Shadow Word Pen. And let's see if we can get some early game drops. Nope, that is not the definition of an early game drop. A little bit on the painful side. Okay, detention, what is going on? Not much is going on. Okie dokie. Okay, so I don't mind an early game chow. Let's go for some early game chow. Let's have a look at this GIF thing. That looks like me. That GIF looks like me. It's just a GIF of a guy firing in there. I hold down the button to fire the AK-47 and then wonder why I've only not hit someone at all from blank range, point blank range. I sit there and squeeze off shots and actually occasionally hit something. I think it's when I get real close in and there's a spray and pray. If you spray and pray with the AK-47 at close range, it just does nothing. And I know that. I should know that. I should know better. Red Corsair, good tank. That's certainly going to mean that my zombie chow is going to be down and out. However, Shadow Word Pen, that I kind of forgot about, is going to help us rescue there. So the moment I get him over 5 health heal, I've actually done some damage with this. So let's keep plugging away with the chow. The Grim Patron I'd rather drop when I can do damage. So if I can drop the Stormpike Commander and the Grim Patron at the same time, that's 10 mana. It's somewhat awkward. In comes the 3 attack. That can get nasty if not stopped. The Shadow of Pain would have been better spent on this. The 5 heal goes up. So now there is trouble. There may be trouble ahead. But the Oasis Snapjaw, with the option of throwing down a Stompike Commando, will trade that away next. Some traders. Okay, I'm slightly alarmed by the amount of efficient cards like Fan of Knives and Deadly Poison that are coming out of our opponent here, so I'm worried, just so you know. Ooh, that is a real nasty questing adventure. Now, we saw the questing, we didn't pick it, but you can see that our opponent has managed to throw down 3 cheap spells. Every spell is buffing it by 1/1. It is becoming real nasty real fast. Do we have anything that can deal with it? Well, we could have dealt with it before, but now it's becoming increasingly difficult.
I must consider.
Okie dokie, Azure Drake. Right, I can just about set up a trade here if I'm careful. I'm going to do that. And then I can basically offer the trade next turn. We might be in a little bit of trouble here. Ooh, that's nasty. Remember, this is every card.
Yeah, beat it.
So 12-6, 3-2, 2-2, 2-1, eviscerates, and that finishes off nastily. There we go. So very nice deck there. Shows the ability of questing adventurer when you follow it up with lots of little drops. Totally getting cards thrown in our face there, but a really nice deck actually. Fair play to that rogue. That was a really solid bit of deck that you're throwing together. Lots of minions that you wouldn't necessarily be sort of hugely afraid of if you were to come against them in a ranked or in a casual game deck, but just goes to show, Arena, you can see all of these minions working in a different way in draft mode, and things that sort of aren't that viable before suddenly become massively viable and really quite fun and challenging in Arena. Questing Adventurer was always quite handy, but you can just see with the little drops that he had, not just any spell but any card, buffing, and then bang. So thanks so much for tuning in. You can, as always, if you're on YouTube, come join us, twitch.tv/FailCraft Cast, Monday through Friday, schedule in the bottom left, at FailCraft Cast on Twitter. There is the Twitch, if you just look on the left. There is the YouTube, if you look above there. All of our videos and streams are archived there. We also do specifically edited stuff there as well. Last but not least, the website, failcraft.org. So if you're live, thank you for tuning in. This week's streaming schedule will be a little bit up and down. As I've said, I've got a few bits to do. Need to make sure I have time to relax. Need to make sure that I'm not chatting away all the time and driving people nuts with me talking. I talk a lot. Last but not least, hopefully see you soon. Check out Twitter. We'll tweet if we're going live tomorrow night. We will most probably be live on Friday, and we're going to experiment with maybe streaming at a few different times and things as well. But I am going to be sticking up a video on YouTube asking your opinion on a bunch of stuff as to what we can improve, what content you'd like to see more of. Would you like to see more YouTube videos? Would you like to see more streams? What kind of times for streams, days for streams are good for you? Just so I can work out how to arrange everything, so I can arrange everything, get everything done for me, and I can make better stuff for you that you enjoy more and stream at the kind of times that are convenient for you and all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Keep an eye out on YouTube for when that video goes up, and I'll tweet it and everything when it does. So thanks very much for tuning in. Hopefully see you very soon, and have a great evening or day whenever you watch this. Take it easy.